There's a strange silence spreading across America. Not the kind you hear, but the kind you feel. Parking lots that used to overflow on Saturday mornings now sit wide open under gray skies. Storefronts that once glowed with neon signs now fade behind dusty windows and "for lease" banners. Whole aisles of American life. Toy stores, pharmacies, department stores, even grocery chains are flickering out one location at a time. Most people don't notice the collapse until it happens in their own town, until the store they grew up with disappears overnight, until the lights that once felt like part of the neighborhood go dark for good. This isn't dramatic. It isn't exaggerated. It's happening quietly, relentlessly, and faster than most Americans realize. 2025 is becoming the year when some of America's biggest retail giants finally reach their breaking point. Today, we're counting down the 10 major retail chains closing hundreds of stores and what their disappearance means for the everyday American who now has fewer places left to turn. Stay with us. To understand what's happening, you have to zoom out, because no single store, no single chain collapsed by accident. 5 forces, quiet, powerful, and unstoppable, are squeezing American retail to death. Inflation has pushed the price of everything higher: goods, freight, utilities, rent, and labor. But wages aren't keeping up, leaving shoppers with less to spend, and retailers with no room left to breathe. Shrink and organized retail theft have exploded across the country. Losses that were once an inconvenience are now billions of dollars each year, pushing some stores to lock up everyday products or abandon entire neighborhoods altogether. Rising commercial rent means even high-traffic locations can no longer justify staying open. When the lease renews, many chains simply walk away. Labor shortages and higher wages make staffing large stores harder and more expensive. Some retailers simply can't keep enough people on the floor to function. And hovering over all of it is the online shift. Faster, cheaper, more convenient. Americans love browsing in stores, but buy online. The economics don't add up. What we're witnessing isn't a sudden crisis. It's the result of years, even decades, of pressure building beneath the surface. And in 2025, the dam is breaking. Let's count down the 10 chains being hit the hardest. Number 10, Bed Bath & Beyond. There was a time when Bed Bath & Beyond felt almost magical. Endless aisles of bedding, kitchen gadgets, college dorm supplies. The place where families went every August, before school started. But that world is gone. The brand's bankruptcy wiped out hundreds of remaining stores. The new BB&B, rescued by Overstock, is closing more legacy physical locations as it shifts online only. Employees describe the heartbreak of watching loyal customers walk in, only to find half-empty shelves and liquidation signs everywhere. Structural pressures, soaring rent for massive retail footprints, poor inventory planning, and competition from Amazon and Target that the chain couldn't outrun. The question is simple. If a store this iconic couldn't survive the new economy, who can? Number 9. Big Lots. There was a time when Big Lots was the treasure hunt of the working class. Cheap furniture, seasonal decor, and the feeling that $50 could actually stretch. But in 2025, Big Lots is shutting down. Hundreds of locations, quietly retreating from states like California, Michigan, and Ohio. Customers report walking into stores that feel abandoned. Dim lights, thin staffing, and shelves with more gaps than products. The cause? Inflation crushed the very people who relied on Big Lots the most. When essentials become expensive, nobody has money left for home goods. If discount chains are being choked out, what does that say about everyday American life? Number 8, Rite Aid. There was a time when Rite Aid was part of the neighborhood, the place to grab medicine, snacks, and last-minute essentials. But in 2025, Rite Aid's bankruptcy has triggered one of the largest pharmacy collapses in U.S. history. Over 500 stores are gone. Entire states have lost half their locations. A pharmacist in Pennsylvania described seeing elderly customers in tears, not knowing where to refill prescriptions. After their store closed overnight, structural pressures, insurance reimbursement cuts, soaring theft, and labor shortages. When pharmacies disappear, communities don't just lose convenience. They lose access to health. Number 7, Family Dollar. There was a time when Family Dollar was a lifeline for low-income neighborhoods. Cheap basics, quick access, and locations everywhere. But in 2025, the chain is closing. Up to 1,000 stores, one of the largest retrenchments of any retailer. Some stores operate with a single employee. Others struggle with constant theft, broken freezers, and unsafe conditions. Shoppers describe the closures as losing the only place we could actually afford. When the poorest communities lose their budget store, where do they go next? Number 6, 7-Eleven. There was a time when the 7-Eleven sign meant safety. No matter the hour, no matter the neighborhood. But in 2025, the chain is cutting. Hundreds of stores pulling back from 24-hour operations and closing locations in high-crime areas. Owners describe shoplifting happening dozens of times per day. Some employees refuse to work nights. Convenience isn't convenient when it's no longer safe. And if 24-hour America is fading, what does that say about the country's future? Number 5, Macy's. There was a time when Macy's was woven into the rhythm of American life. Holiday parades, wedding registries, back-to-school shopping. But 2025 marks a dramatic retreat. Over 150 locations closing in 3 years, including nearly 70 this year alone. Inside many stores, the decline is visible. Entire floors closed off. Low staffing, and aisles that feel like museums. When a cultural icon fades, it's not just a retail loss, it's an emotional one. What happens to a country when its traditions begin to vanish? Number 4, Walgreens. There was a time when Walgreens felt like the heart of the community, the closest thing many towns had to accessible healthcare. But 2025 is different. More than 1,200 stores are closing, leaving seniors driving 20-plus miles for prescriptions they once picked up on foot. Employees describe burnout. Customers describe fear. Communities describe abandonment. When pharmacies close, it exposes a truth we rarely admit. Millions of Americans live in medical deserts. How long can that last? Number 3, Best Buy. There was a time when Best Buy felt like the future. Rows of screens, the smell of new electronics, and experts helping you pick your first laptop. But the future has moved online. Best Buy is shutting more stores, shrinking footprints, and transforming into pickup centers instead of shopping experiences. A longtime customer said, "It used to feel exciting. Now it just feels empty." When even technology retailers can't justify physical stores. Where is retail heading? Number 2, Subway. There was a time when Subway was the unofficial lunchroom of America. Cheap sandwiches, fast service, and the smell of fresh bread. But the chain is closing. Hundreds of locations, after already losing over 7,000 stores. In the past decade, customers complain of declining quality. Employees talk about burnout. Franchise owners say the economics no longer make sense. If the most widespread restaurant in America can stumble, no chain is safe. Number 1, Walmart. There was a time when Walmart felt untouchable. The center of small-town America. The place where everyone went for groceries, school supplies, and a sense of routine. But in 2025, even Walmart is quietly closing stores in high-crime, high-cost, and low-profit areas. Theft is out of control. Labor costs are rising. Insurance is skyrocketing. And customers are shopping less often. When a Walmart closes, an entire community collapses with it. Jobs disappear. Local tax revenue evaporates. Shopping plazas turn into ghost zones. If Walmart feels pressure, the rest of retail doesn't stand a chance. When you look at these closures together, a pattern appears, one bigger than any single company. America is changing. Quietly, steadily, irreversibly. The stores that once formed the backbone of everyday life are disappearing. Not because people don't need them, but because the economics of simply staying open no longer work. Communities lose gathering places. Workers lose stability. Families lose convenience. And entire neighborhoods lose their identity. What we're witnessing isn't just retail decline. It's a reshaping of American life, from the ground up. And the question now isn't which store disappears next, but how close the next closure will come to your own neighborhood. Which closure affects your community the most?